On October 1st, 1949, Mao Zedong proclaimed the founding of the People's Republic of China. The PRC claimed and continues to claim that the People's Republic of China succeeded the Republic of China as the legitimate government of China, just as the Republic of China had succeeded the Qing dynasty in 1912. However, the Republic of China still existed, still had an army, and there were still millions of people loyal to it. Chiang Kai-shek and the rest of the nationalist government retreated to Taiwan, where they continued to claim to be the real China. Both sides agreed that there was only one China, and diplomatic relations could not be maintained with two Chinas. Thus, the rest of the world was faced with a dilemma. Who is the real China? The Soviet Union and other communist countries were unsurprisingly quick to recognize the People's Republic of China. But the decision was more difficult for the West. I was quite surprised to learn that Britain switched recognition from the ROC to the PRC on January 6, 1950. This was only a few months after the PRC was founded, and less than a month after Chiang Kai-shek arrived in Taiwan. To put this in context, France would recognize the ROC as the real China until 1964, Japan until 1972, America until 1979, and South Korea until 1992. In the same month as this recording, the president of Guatemala has said that he recognizes the Republic of China as the one true China. At the time of Britain's switch to the PRC, there were still nationalist soldiers fighting in mainland China, and some Americans criticized the decision of the British government as abandoning these soldiers to their doom. So why did Britain choose to recognize the People's Republic of China so early on? Then Prime Minister Clement Attlee, though a leftist, was not soft on communism. Attlee and his Foreign Secretary Ernest Bevin were anti-communists, and there was no question that Britain would be opposed to the Soviet Union during the Cold War. But China was different. Already in May 1949, British diplomat Asler Denning said that the UK would not recognize a possible future nationalist rump state in Taiwan. Britain had pragmatic reasons for wanting to have diplomatic relations with the state that had orders of magnitude more land and people. Another thing that the British had to keep in mind was Hong Kong. If Mao wanted to, he could have just taken Hong Kong and Britain would have been unable to do anything about it. So it made sense to try to get on his good side. Another possible reason for Britain recognizing the PRC in 1950 is that a lot of people in the West thought of the Chinese communists as different from the Soviet communists, and hoped to turn them against the Soviet Union. There were concerns that by refusing diplomatic relations with the People's Republic of China, the West would drive them into the arms of the Soviets. Clement Attlee also didn't like Chiang Kai-shek very much, so ending diplomatic relations with him wouldn't have been too hard of a thing for him to do. On January 7th, 1950, The Guardian reported that the rest of the Commonwealth, the countries which were part of the British Empire and still have the British monarchy, were going to follow London's decision soon. But the only other Commonwealth countries to recognize the PRC around this time were India, Pakistan, and Ceylon, or Sri Lanka. And India was only a few weeks away from ditching the British monarchy altogether. Canada wouldn't recognize the PRC until 1970, back when Pierre Trudeau, the father of Justin Trudeau, was Prime Minister. Australia and New Zealand switched to the PRC in 1972, and South Africa switched to the PRC in 1998, though it hadn't been a Commonwealth realm for decades at that point. The United Kingdom and the People's Republic of China didn't get off to a good start. Britain offered to exchange ambassadors, but this was refused. In order to cement his alliance with the Soviet Union, Mao Zedong didn't want to appear too quick to establish relations with the West. Mao also expressed fears that the Western imperialists were trying to infiltrate China. He instructed diplomats to create difficulties and delay negotiations. Britain wasn't ready to completely sever ties with the nationalists just yet. Despite officially breaking off relations with the Republic of China, they still maintained their consulate in Tamsui or Danshui, which is just north of Taipei. This was another source of UK PRC tension. In addition, Britain wouldn't commit to giving China's UN seat to Communist China. China would be represented by the Republic of China at the UN until 1971. The Korean War broke out later in 1950. The UK and PRC found themselves on the opposing sides of the conflict, which was a major setback in relations between the two countries. Britain would not have full diplomatic relations with the People's Republic of China until 1972, the year after UN representation for China was changed. Now let's talk about Clement Attlee, the British Prime Minister in 1950. In 1937, Attlee was leader of Britain's Labour Party, but was not yet Prime Minister. That year, Mao Zedong wrote a letter to Attlee where he requested the Labour Party's support for China's war of resistance against Japan. In 1945, in the final months of World War II, he became Prime Minister after his party defeated Winston Churchill's Conservative Party in the general election. In 1951, the Conservative Party and Winston Churchill returned to power. Attlee remained as leader of the Labour Party. In 1954, he led a Labour Party delegation on an 18-day visit to Communist China. Attlee was highly critical of what he saw there and spoke out against Mao's authoritarian policies. There's an amusing story from the visit where some Chinese school kids performed a dance for the delegation. The delegation was pleased with this until the kids handed them propaganda leaflets and they learned that the dance was symbolically anti-American. The next year, after losing another general election, Attlee retired and then moved to the House of Lords, where he stayed until his death in 1967. So what do you think about this? I'm particularly interested in hearing what my British viewers have to say because I know I have at least a few of them. Like and subscribe for more content like this.